Her family said no, but her heart chose him. The night she finally chose him, the house that raised her felt colder than the street outside. Every wall that once protected her now seemed to watch her with judgment. Every memory whispered that she was about to lose everything she had ever known. Love stood on one side of the door, family on the other, and for the first time in her life, she realized that choosing her own heart might cost her an entire world. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of true love, take a moment right now to like this video, comment your thoughts, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to the channel for more emotional stories that touch the soul. She had grown up in a home where traditions were not just followed, they were enforced like laws. From childhood, her future had been quietly planned by others: what she would study, how she would behave, and one day, who she would marry. Love, she was taught, was something that came after approval, after agreement, after the family said yes. She believed it too, until life introduced her to a feeling that did not ask for permission. It started simply, almost invisibly, the way real things often do. A shared silence that felt comfortable, a smile that stayed with her longer than it should have, a sense of being understood without having to explain herself. In his presence, she felt seen not as a daughter or a responsibility, but as a person with dreams and fears of her own. He was not what her family imagined for her. He came from a different background, a different way of living, and carried his struggles openly, rather than hiding them behind status or tradition. Where her world was built on expectations, his was built on effort and hope. He listened to her dreams as if they mattered, even the ones she had never dared to say out loud. Slowly, without realizing it, she began to imagine a future that felt warm instead of heavy. A future where love was not an obligation, but a choice made every day. When her family found out, the warmth disappeared. The air in the house changed, conversations became sharp, and silence turned into punishment. They told her she was being emotional, that she did not understand how the world worked, that love like this never lasted. They spoke of honor, of reputation, of sacrifices they had made for her. Every word felt like a weight pressing down on her chest. She tried to explain that she was not running away from them, that she was only trying to run toward a life that felt true. But explanations were not welcome. In their eyes, her choice was not love, it was rebellion. Days turned into weeks of tension and tears. She lay awake at night, staring at the ceiling, wondering how love could feel so right and hurt so much at the same time. She questioned herself endlessly. Was she selfish for wanting happiness on her own terms? Was she ungrateful for choosing a man over the people who raised her? The guilt wrapped around her heart, tightening every time she imagined her mother's disappointed eyes or her father's silence. Yet every time she thought of letting go of him, the pain felt even deeper, as if she were erasing a part of herself. The pressure increased. Relatives visited with advice that sounded more like warnings. She was reminded of stories where girls who chose love were abandoned by both family and fate. She was told that time would fix everything if she just agreed to forget him. But time did not weaken her feelings. Instead, it made her realize how rare it was to find someone who loved her without conditions. He never asked her to fight her family, never pushed her to choose quickly. He only stood by her, patient and steady, reminding her that whatever decision she made should come from her own heart. The day her family finally gave their answer, it was not unexpected, but it still broke something inside her. They said no, firmly and finally. No discussions, no compromises, no. Hope left hanging in the air. In that moment, she felt smaller than she ever had before, like a child again, powerless against rules she never agreed to. But beneath the fear, something else stirred. A quiet strength she did not know she possessed. She realized that if she surrendered now, she would spend the rest of her life wondering who she could have been. Choosing him did not feel like victory. It felt like stepping into darkness with only faith to guide her. When she packed her things, her hands trembled. Every item she touched carried memories of a life she was leaving behind. The door closed softly behind her, but the sound echoed in her heart. Outside, the world was uncertain and unforgiving, yet it was also honest. For the first time, she was walking a path she had chosen herself. Life did not suddenly become easy. Love did not magically solve every problem. There were days when money was tight, when doubts crept in, when she missed her family so intensely it felt unbearable. There were moments when she wondered if she had made a terrible mistake. But through every struggle, she felt something she had never felt before: peace. The kind of peace that comes from living in alignment with your own truth. Together they built a life slowly, learning each other's flaws, growing stronger through shared hardships. Their love was not perfect, but it was real, and it was theirs. Time, as it often does, softened the sharpest edges. News of her reached her family through distant connections. They saw that she had not fallen apart, that she was not lost or broken. They saw a woman who stood on her own feet, who had not abandoned her values, only redefined them. It took years, but small cracks appeared in the walls they had built. A message sent quietly, a question asked without anger, a concern expressed without judgment. Healing did not arrive all at once, but it began. One day, standing in a modest home filled with laughter and warmth, she realized how far she had come. The girl who once shook with fear had grown into a woman who understood the cost of her choices and accepted them fully. Love had not taken her away from her family. It had taught her the courage to be honest. She still carried the pain of rejection, but it no longer defined her. Instead, it reminded her of her strength. If this story touched your heart, if it reminded you of a love you had to fight for, or a choice that changed your life, please take a moment to like, share, and subscribe. Your support helps keep these stories alive and reaching the people who need them most. And before this story ends, we have one special request for you. Comment below and tell us, do you believe love is worth choosing even when the world says no? In the end, she did not choose him over her family. She chose herself, her truth, and a love that allowed her to become who she was meant to be. And sometimes, that is the bravest choice a person can ever make.